back in about 1844, I think it was Hebel who wrote a ballad called Der Heideknabe. It was about a little boy going through his life, and every fear that he had that could happen, every nightmare did happen, a form of fulfillment of your worst fears. What we have in this system, this world, is a perpetual fear-mongering from the media, because the media is part of government. To control people, you've got to have enemies, you've got to have fear, you've got to have a reason for the suits and ties at the top to stand proudly and gesticulate and pose and read the speeches that are written for them, to tell us all how they're going to take care of the problems, even the ones that might be, all the might-be's out there, all the fears of what could be, to keep us in perpetual childhood. It's only in childhood that you expect all of your fears and problems to be taken care of by those who are older. And what a nightmare to wake up and find out the ones that are older don't know any better than you did. Boy, that's scary, isn't it? So all that time you looked up to adults who were just as confused as you were. They were just better actors. But that's the world we live in. And this same technique is used to control the minds of people, especially in this artificial system, which runs on what we're told is a big gambling casino called the stock market, where everyone's future is gambled away on a roulette table every day, and depending on the outcome of these masters of the game, we either crash or we keep going on, and your job is going to be there tomorrow, or it could be gone under in the blink of an eye, depending on how that roulette table, that wheel spins and where it stops. Thank goodness we've all these masters of things we haven't a clue of understanding to take care of it all for us, and the reason we can't understand it is because it's all bogus. Whenever you cannot understand how anything works that is vital to your life and your survival and the survival of others, there's a con game going on. You're being fooled deliberately. It's like science. You see, science can be applied to anything. You can call anything science. You can create your own sciences tonight if you want to, and put an ology on the end, doctrine. You see, or an ism. Ism also means doctrine. So you can create an ology or an ism and tack it on the end of a word, and it could be your doctrine. And you can give a lot of scientific terms, because the first thing you must do with any science is create your own vocabulary. Then only those you allow into the little secret club will know the secret meanings. Everyone else will be terribly, terribly impressed, but completely confused. And then you can give degrees out to your own people, and then lord over those who are impressed but very confused. That's what sciences are. You know, psychiatry will be the first to tell you they cannot cure anything. They cannot cure mental illness. In fact, the definition of mental illness is very obscure. After all, if the norm is whatever is authorized for the majority at any one period in life, or the ages, then anything outside of that is therefore deviant and therefore abnormal and therefore ill. So the whole idea is to get everyone into the majority think, which is authorized by the big think at the top, and then you're healthy. We're taught to go to school every day, put in so many hours, and go back to home at night or the evening to get you prepared for work. That was what it was always for, to get you into a routine where you'd go to work, to earn something called money, which is too mysterious. It's a whole doctrine. There's no point in trying to understand it. One day these 5 pennies will buy this much bread, the next day it'll be that much bread, or less or more, or whatever. And it's all a big mystery. It's all a big mystery. In the old barter days, before the con man who came along with money got involved, you would have 2 people who would exchange this for that. And they would decide between the two how much of this you'd trade for how much of that. That was it. Because value and a price is only an idea. That's all it is, someone's idea. And in came the third party who conned them into using this thing called money, which you can't eat. And silver and gold are pretty useless for most things that you need. They're no use for tools. But here you are, you're getting something which is hard to find, or harder to find. That's why they picked it. The Phoenicians were using it, you know, thousands of years ago. They knew this too. They had miners on the go, all slaves, slave workers. And the con man got in between the 2 people who bartered, made them believe it was of the same value. A bag of oats is worth a bag of wheat. And then once he had the whole system under the thumb, he says, oh well, we need 10 bags of that oats to go for that 1 bag of wheat. And when you ask him why, he'd tell you about scarcity of supply and demand and all this kind of stuff, and use his his newspeak on you, and eventually you throw your hands up and says, geez, if I have to understand all this, I'll never get any work done. And he says, that's what I want. And you went back to work and he ran the money. And nothing has really changed up until the present. This is the con game of money. They used to tell you too, just work hard, and you'll get up there in life. You'll get on in life. You can get out those scrubby old clothes and just work very, very hard, and you'll get noticed at work. And one day you'll get up, you even get a suit and tie one day, and you'll be up in management positions. And it's like pointing to a cave and telling 10 million people to run and try to get in there. It doesn't dawn on everyone that only so many will fit in to that cave. You couldn't all get in, so there can only be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or a few at the most. And yet this is a con game that was pulled on everyone. Just work hard and you get up in life. And isn't it strange, no matter how many generations have worked hard, they still really don't have much at all. Really, when you boil it down, they rent a place which they think they've bought. They get demand twice a year, at least, from different branches of government, demanding money for this shell that they have, like a tortoise shell. Only a tortoise shell is more enduring than little sticky things we have here called houses. But money's demanded from them. They still believe it's theirs because, and they'll tell you that, why I bought this place, as they pay thousands of dollars a year for the privilege of owning this place. And what you've just got yourself, apart from a lifelong headache of repairing these ticky-tacky houses, which aren't meant to last in the first place, and it does keep the lumber business going and all the tool places going. What you've got are 4 walls, really. 4 walls containing lots of air. If you discard all the stuff that's inside, all the things you're supposed to have, and all the plastic junk from China, and all of that stuff that you're supposed to have is authorized that you have it. In fact, they would complain that you were neglecting your children if you don't have all that junk. So you can't win in this system by following the system. But all you've done is enclosed a lot of air, and you get taxed for the privilege of breathing it inside that shell, which you don't own, but you've paid for. And when you go bankrupt and you're kicked off in the street and the bank seized it or the government seized it, but one of the two will seize it, you see, and there's no mercy anywhere. We wouldn't put an animal out like this, but you'd put humans out like that because others might get the idea that, oh, we've got rights. So they put you out in the street. And then the banks flip it again, and some other young pair of schmucks buy it and start all over again. It's a tremendous con game in business. And even if you die, if you manage to get through all the battles in life and crawl through battle scarred to the bitter ends, and then you die in the place and put it in a will for relatives, well, in they come and take it for death duties. Duties. Did you know you had a duty to do with death? A duty. Death duties, they call it. And all those years of frantic worrying and repairing and paying and paying and paying go nowhere. They'll seize it too if they don't get their cuts. And who introduced this income tax and property tax, etc., and death duties? Well, who introduced it in Britain was an organisation, non-governmental, but with the full backing of the British Crown. The Royal Institute of International Affairs were the first ones to bring the property tax out, demand it, the income tax, death duties, and so on. And who did it in the USA? Their brothers, their brother company, the Council on Foreign Relations, brought it in. And they have that in their own books, and they're proud of it, yeah. And they should really give prizes to these people for conning generations of people. Now, it's true, they generally bring a lot of this stuff in when they have major wars and things going, which is fairly common for them. And we don't notice it so much during the crisis periods. And immediately after a war, people are so war-weary, they just want some peace. They don't want any more involvement with major problems and decisions and fear, etc. So they try and push it all out of their mind. The next generation grows up thinking it's always been this way. It must be normal. And shortly it will be normal to go into get a chip in your brain at a certain age, and they'll think it's normal because mum and dad did it. Or maybe they won't have mum and dad, or maybe mum and dad will be one person. In fact, maybe they'll be cloned from mum and dad in one person. Gets awfully confusing, doesn't it? This is the brave new world that we're going to lead along to. In the Matrix movie, Morpheus, who changes shape in every era, you see, and always says the same thing in every era, every time. It says to Neo, he says, "You're a slave, Neo. You wouldn't believe the relief that people get when it suddenly hits them. They're a slave. All the fears they've had, the worries tend to vanish like a massive weight's taken off your shoulders, because suddenly you understand things. You understand why things aren't working out for you. You understand now that you've done all the right things, but you haven't got what you were taught you were going to get. This great big award at the end of your life. You can stop blaming yourself for not achieving that which you were supposed to achieve, and you can throw away that underachiever guilt complex, because achievement doesn't come by hard work. It comes by who you know and what societies and organizations you have joined. That's how it comes. That's the real world. That's the real world. People wonder what can be done on a personal level when they look at this world and feel overwhelmed by all the terror news where everything's going to fail and epidemics are coming our way. Oh, we're warming up the planet. Must be all those jet engines from the special aircraft as they spray. El Nino and yada yada yada. And this is all techniques of controlling people, because government needs panic in order to give out orders for control and to maintain